Ladies and gentlemen, in 2022 and 2023, the world is a controversial place. We can hardly agree on anything, it seems, even some of the most fundamental building blocks of day to day existence. But we can agree that cheating in chess is rampant and it's all over the place, and it's not a good thing, right? It's just simply not a good thing. And in today's video, I'm going to show you a fascinating story of a user who submitted a game that they played to Reddit, where they played against a cheater. But just the day prior, the 200 rated player that they had lost against had played a game with an accuracy of 8. You are not mishearing that. Literally an accuracy of single digits, 8. Then that person got mad and decided to cheat, and in this video I'm going to show you the disparity of the level of the play between those two. This is how a 200 level player looks like when they are cheating and think that they are getting away with it, which they are not. And if you're wondering why I'm talking in like a low voice, normally I'm loud and excited. I'm in a hotel room right now, actually, and I've recorded videos in hotel rooms before. I'm in LA for the Ludwig Mogul Moves chess boxing event, but this hotel has walls that are paper thin, and you can hear everything. So I just don't want to yell, disturb people. It's kind of early in the morning. I can literally hear everything. It's not great, but you know, we're going to get a little ASMR style chess. So this was the 8 accuracy game. With the black pieces, we have our pre-cheater. Okay, he hasn't cheated yet, and that's going to be on full display. And we have a happy noob, just a random person. And then we're going to have the game that this individual submitted. Jeff submitted a game where, you know, he thought that this person was cheating against him. So e4, knight f6. Okay, right away, right off the bat, clear sign that this individual is likely just a noob because they allowed this pawn to go into the center of the board. Now, a lot of newbies don't remember that, so they play moves like f3. Yes, f3 is most certainly an option. It does defend the pawn in the center of the board. That is not incorrect, but you are not developing any sort of pieces. Now, black plays the move knight c6. Okay, so black puts knights before pawns, but I don't really hate it. Now, at this point, white realizes, okay, I kind of, I kind of shot myself in the foot here, so I can't really have any sort of natural development. So I'm going to go here, knight h3. All right, okay. I mean, you know, you got your knight out. Eval bar took a little lag there to realize just how bad this move was. And actually, I mean, black's knight's move is not so bad. I mean, I'm not making fun of a 200 for playing like a 200. I'm making fun of, in this video, a 200 playing like a 200 and then cheating on the very next day. So d3 by white. I mean, so far, so bad. You know, a bunch of pawns on light squares, very poor development, bad knight, out of position, and then queen c each other here. But just ignore one another because I don't think players even see the board that far. It's one of the reasons that black is not playing the move bishop takes knight, which would seriously damage white's pawn structure and leave 3 pawns just sort of scattered on the light squares and a very weak king. So queen e2, queen e7, and now the move b3. I mean, basically, it seems like white is trying to fulfill some sort of quest of putting every sort of pawn on light squares. And black gives a check because that's what noobs do. Noobs kind of see a check and give a check. And in general, you know, you don't need to run your king when you're in check, especially when it's a queen attacking. You can block. And in this case, both of those moves are very good because they kick out the queen and don't damage your position. But both players are 200, so white goes here, which just loses the game on the spot because this move now is a fork of the king and the rook, and that is a devastating loss of material for white. But black doesn't see that. And white just continues running. Because this is sort of like hilarious. Like when you're 200, you just run your king out to the edge of the board. You're like, oh, I'm in check. You don't have to do this at all. Like, I mean, white could have just very calmly gone bishop to e3 and just had a probably slightly worse position. Yeah, now what should black do? Probably play knight h5 check and, you know, keep the king running this way. And at some point, you will likely win this game by accident. For example, queen to e7, king h5, g6 is literally checkmate by accident. Like, you did not realize that that was mate because you're 200 and you haven't started cheating yet. Every single square here is covered. Okay, instead of that, black goes queen e7 right away. White plays bishop to a3, which attacks the queen, and the queen goes to e6, and white continues chasing the queen because, duh, like, you're 200, right? Queen d7. Now, at this point, if I gave you 10 guesses, you would never predict white's move. Just never in a million years. I mean, white has probably something like 25 to 30 legal moves here. The best move for white is likely just trading off this bishop and then figuring out something like finishing your development and bringing your rook. Yeah, in this position, white plays the move h4. I mean, h4 accomplishes less than nothing, but again, such is life. And now black kind of saw that and goes, oh, what about this move? It's not a bad move at all. Knight goes back to h3. And now black plays a move that makes no sense. a5. Okay, cool. Queen f2. I don't know what that does. h5. All right, just middle of the game, just a little a5, h5 action. You could tell no one's cheating. Rook h6, okay. I get it, trying to justify, but the king is going to run to safety. Rook d1, rook g6, and now knight, okay, maybe king's not going to run to safety. Okay, a4. This game feels like a fever dream. Like, you ever have a dream, like nothing makes sense, you got like no control of your motor skills, you're sort of flapping around and crazy stuff is happening in different parts of your life, like the 15 years of your life are just coming into the same dream. It's sort of what this game feels like, I mean, right? It just doesn't feel like everything feels discombobulated and out of sorts. White now plays rook b1. White is just allergic to moving this rook. Like, white plays here and now here, and that rook is just smushed in the corner. Black plays c5. c5 is just a full blunder of a pawn. But the amazing thing about the move c5 is it actually doesn't guard the knight. Why? Because of the threat bishop to b5, pinning the queen to the king, the move knight c6 would be possible. So what you do is you actually just take the knight. You can take the knight, and then you can play bishop to b5 and be winning. You could just be winning a queen here. But I digress. These people are 200. So rook c6, and now rook a6, sorry, and now knight takes c5, of course. Very nice move here. Beautiful move, picking up some material, and apparently the wrong move, according to the computer. Now things completely now all hell breaks loose. So black plays rook takes knight, because black didn't want to lose the rook, so instead they lose the rook. Rook is lost and now attacks the king. Of course, you just play pawn takes here. And the fascinating thing is, like, 7-8 moves ago, when you played the move knight g5, you played it because you knew your knight was protected, right? You wouldn't have played that move if you knew the knight was not going to be taken. So in this position, why did you not take the... And now the guy playing with the black pieces goes, well, I took one knight, so I might as well take another one. And now it's mate in one. Queen d6 is checkmate in one move. Also, I think queen c7 is mate in one move, right? Queen c7 also looks like mate. The point is that the king went this way and can only escape this way. Everything else is covered. Every other square near the king is covered. So queen d6 and queen c7 are both mate. Unfortunately, black is not cheating yet in their chess career, so they don't find it. And instead, we have this position. White's king dances back to safety, and now, like, white is not even that much worse as far as I'm concerned. Rook c1, we're still not going to move that rook. The rook in the corner just isn't going to move. I don't know what black is doing. I don't know what white is doing. Nobody knows who anybody is doing. Oh, a1 rook still never got a chance to move. Please make a move with the a1 rook. Oh my god, he's never going to move it. He's never going to move it, is he? Oh, king f7. Now it's time to bring the rook. Rook, finally. 36 moves. Now, for some reason, black here just decides, like, I have a queen, knight, bishop. Like, I have all these pieces, but I'm just going to move my king. And then white plays g4, which blunders a pawn two different ways, and then h5, and then, gets in here with the queen, and black resigns because black hangs a rook by accident, and is actually going to lose much more than that, because if you go this way, you get mated, and if you go backwards, there's rook h7, rook b7. And for this game, black received an accuracy score of 8. 8. They played an accuracy of 8 out of 100. I mean, it happens, right? Like, it happens. And I'm only making fun of this person because the next day, this person came back and decided to play the following game of chess. And their rating is 300 because I think they cheated for like 2 games before they got to this rating of 300. And Jeff is I believe, our protagonist with the black pieces who actually posted this game, because Jeff had some suspicions about it and felt like something had gone awry. Something was wrong about this game. So d4, d5, c4, knight f6, and immediately punishing. By the way, Queen's Gambit. Like, where is the dude yesterday that moved 2 knights and then, okay, Queen's Gambit by white. And now immediately taking advantage of the fact that black has not guarded the pawn on d5 with a pawn. So if you don't guard a pawn with a pawn, I can just take, right? I can sort of bait you to now move a piece into the center of the board and immediately punish your lack of pawn control in the center of the board by playing a move like e4. Now white is already winning. This is one thing you newbies have to be careful about. You really should try to have pawn presence in the center of the board, because otherwise you get overrun like this. Black immediately makes a mistake, right? Black plays a bad move, just black is 300, so black goes here. What does our cheater do? Well, our cheater spends 15 seconds on this move with white, and also 15 seconds on this move, and also 15 seconds on this move, and also 50. You get the time difference is, so they finally take. Now bishop to b5. A6. Now, if you're a lower rated player and you're up material, you might just trade. No, white rotates the bishop around this way to trade bishops instead of bishop versus knight, because the computer evaluates a bishop trade as equal, but a bishop versus knight trade is not as good as a bishop versus bishop trade. Okay, e6. White spends 15 seconds and takes the bishop. E takes, castles. Terrific. Okay, white is doing very well, following all the basic principles. Now what should white do? Well, white should finish his development by developing his bishop and developing his knight. Perfect game so far for white. I mean, this does not look anything like the individual of last game. Of course, white is up in knight, black blundered early, so, it's not quite, queen f6. And, well, our cheater now sees that the queen used to guard the pawn and just decides, okay, I'm going to go back to the buffet and pick a little scoop of some more food. I really like that food, so I'm going to take that pawn on c7. All right. Okay. Black plays rook e8. Now white plays the move knight b3, which has a couple of ideas. Namely, it's going to be kicking out this bishop and seizing control of the c file. The knight will go to c5 in the future as well. White will also play knight e5, anchoring the horses. And there's rook c1. There's what? The most insane thing is, h3 is actually, it's the computer thinks h3 is a perfectly reasonable move, which is just fascinating. So h3 played. Now we have knight f5. There's knight c5, anchoring the knight, rook e7 back. Bishop comes back to the center of the board. So far, just a perfect game. Now the queen comes out. The queen hasn't had a turn yet. Hits the loose knight, and it was a matter of time before our 300-rated protagonist just simply caved to the fact that his opponent did not do anything ridiculous. He blunders another knight. He tries to win the bishop. He is immediately slapped down because this move is not possible due to the queen, but by playing this move, you block the queen's vision of the d6 square, and now bishop d6, immediately punishing black and picking up the rook, and now the pawn is taken, not the bishop, not the free bishop. The bishop is 3 full points, but the computer sees that taking the pawn will lead to a devastating attack on black. The king has to stay on the back rank, or you could pin yourself, and if you pin yourself, I would have still had a fast win. King h8, and suddenly it's queen a8, it's rook e8, it's queen e8. It is a 97% accuracy game played by white, up 89 percentage points from the previous one. Now, one game sample size is not really enough, right? I mean, it is. If you look at this compared to the last game, that's all you need. This person spent anywhere from 12 to 20 seconds on every move. Very consistent time usage, even on the obvious moves. Just no mistakes compared to the previous game. This next one was a little bit more fascinating to me. This person kept cheating for a few more games before they were banned. So in this one, the unfortunate victim is rated 400, and black immediately punishes a Sicilian defense inaccuracy. It's why you're not supposed to put your bishop out on c4 against the Sicilian, because black just immediately attacks it, right? That's sort of the issue, is that black hasn't committed any E or D pawns, so black immediately attacks the bishop and gets a slight advantage. We have a trade and queen e2 check. Black blocks with the bishop. It's very likely that a newbie might block with the queen, seeing that the queen moved there, and then just blunder this pawn, forgetting that it's defended, especially if you're rated 300. Black doesn't do that. Blocking, by the way, the move knight d7 is so outlandish to me. I'm just saying, it's the top move. I mean, I just don't understand how as a human you don't play knight c6. Just not blocking your bishop. But there's more moves in this game that absolutely blow my mind. The last game didn't have so many of these moves, so now black is like, I'm going to attack your bishop because your options are take and you don't get to damage my pawn structure, or you have to run away. Now, if I asked you here, what is the next natural developing move for black? 99% of you would say the move. Like if I just said, okay, black needs to finish development and castle. Of course, you all say knight to f6, right? Of course. And then castle. There's nothing wrong with the move knight f6. The only thing wrong with the move knight f6 is it's the second suggestion of the computer. The top suggestion of the engine here is knight h6, because, which actually does look like a 300 level move, by the way, because you're not supposed to develop like that. The computer does not want to put the knight here on f6 instead, because it thinks that after a move like d3, this knight loses some mobility forward, and this bishop gets a little stuck, and black does not get as much of an attack on the white pieces as you could if you play this other developing move, which traditionally is bad, but in this case leaves the door open for bishop h4. It also leaves the door open for the knight to come into the center via f5 and g4 instead of the traditional squares of e4 and g4. And yeah, this is the top engine move. And you're going to see this on full display. White plays the move d4. So one thing that white is doing as a 400 is not realizing that like there is imminent danger on this king, the knight, and you know, gotta move and then castle. So white does this, black castles, and now we are going to see this on full display, this bishop h4 thing. So dc5, the knight, of course, arrives on c5, hits the bishop, this, and now this is actually very fascinating. So if you look at this position, b5 traps the bishop. It actually just straight up traps the bishop, but look at the eval bar. It's worse of a move to trap the bishop and win it than to take it straight up. What? But that's just the trade. Correct. But in this case, this is the right way to play by black, because knight takes a4 is a more forcing move demanding a response. And in demanding this response, black now plays rook e8, and there is no way for white to stop the incoming assault on the queen and the king. So knight takes a4 in this instance is actually more forcing because you get the bishop for free. Whereas in this position, if you had played the move b5, I might be able to play like bishop takes b5, or just some absurd resource that the computer evaluates as -2 versus -7 versus -10, which is just so wild. And then rook e8, and here comes this bishop h4, right, which is everything we talked about, and now I take the queen. And now here again, if I ask you, what should black do? All of you are going to say, move the bishop or play queen to e7 check. Instead of queen to e7, you have queen to e8 instead. Why? Because of free pawn. Just perfect board geometrical vision by this person who hung like 27 pieces a few games ago. Ah, but now that your opponent blocked with the bishop, you no longer have to take and you no longer have to move your bishop. You can just immediately go for that and see this knight f5 idea I told you about. Yeah, computer saw that coming from a mile away. Now this and this. And here, if I asked you, how does black continue the attack? Some of you might say, well, my bishop is hanging. It's been hanging for a while. I don't have any checks. So I should probably sacrifice because, oh my gosh, you blundered checkmate. Because that happens. That happens as a human. You think you're winning, you're invincible. You just play bishop takes g3. You're like, okay, I'm going to win the game, right? No, surgical precision by black, knight e3. Cutting the final circulation of the white position. You will now never get there. It's mate in 5 by force. Queen g2 is mate in 1. The best move, obviously, for white is to sacrifice and then prolong your suffering by a few moves. White doesn't see it. Queen g2 mate. 98% score for black. And yeah, this is how obvious it is when a 200 rated player cheats at the game of chess, especially when you compare them side by side. The thing is, when you're very low rated and you cheat, you don't even realize how absurdly obvious it looks. And your time management, your control of the opening, your control of the pace of the game, everything. Like the fact that you're thinking when you're toggling to the computer on obvious moves, it's just shockingly obvious, all right? Like when you compare the two games, one of the games looked like you had 104 fever, you popped a Motrin, or whatever you guys take in Europe. What is that called? Paracetamol? I had to take that when I was in the Czech Republic. That stuff is... my gosh, I took one. I thought I could fly. Really knocked my fever down. Anyway, that game just looked like you were sweating out a fever. This game was just, I mean, my God. Just perfect. Spectacular chess. This person played this game better than I would have. So many resources found, so many interesting ideas, geometric concepts, perfect understanding of, tactical nuances and piece interactions, just fantastic stuff. And it's sort of fitting that the cheater was banned just a few games later. So don't cheat at chess. Your goal should not be cheat and make it into a Gotham video. I will roast you endlessly and mercilessly. And yeah, you make it very obvious. So please don't do it. But this one was very fun. Very interesting to see how a poor dedicated chess newbie was just hanging around in the pool and got completely eviscerated by a 300 rated buzzsaw that was absolutely not legitimate. So yes, Jeff, your opponent cheated and they were banned. And that's what happens when a 200 elo cheats at chess.